Right, if it go live, let's give it a second. Hello, Mike. I think we're live.
All right.
How's it going? So we've got Michael Baugh tonight, which is going to be fantastic. Mike, if people don't know who you are, would just give us a quick introduction about your career, really, I suppose, and what you do.
Quick introduction. Okay,
Well, it doesn't have to be quick.
I play this weird thing with strings on it. Make lots of noises. I also compose, although I consider myself a beginner composer and an intermediate guitar player. And I make records, and that's it. That's what I do. I teach a little bit. I write. I'm signed by Three Tone, so we have a single coming out very shortly in the label within the next couple of days. And that's me.
Yeah, well, I mean, talk to us about that, Mike, because that's really, really sort of important, hot topic at the moment. Because you've just recently been signed. Is that right? You said this to me earlier. You said recently been signed. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this happened, I think, 2 weeks ago through a friend. I met the owner of the label through a composer, actually. And he said, "Oh, you should get in contact with Mike." So he did. And one conversation later on Zoom, I'm now with Three Tone. And they're a great company because they take care of digital distribution. So I
Okay.
don't have to worry about that. They help out with social media stuff once we get that up and running. So as an artist, it's really good to have this kind of support because social media and getting everything on Spotify and on Tidal and Apple Music takes a lot of time, and I think creatives were not inclined to want to do those things, and we just want to spend time writing music and practicing and doing what we want to do, whereas social media kind of gets in the way of that. So it's nice to have a company having people do that for you, to
Yes.
keep that pressure off a little bit.
That's great. Have you found it's giving you more time to do what you're saying, like the creating side of things in that? Is that giving you more time now, you feel? Or was it very sort of early in this?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I haven't got to that point yet.
Okay.
Basically, we made the deal, and then it was right. Can you get a single on our lap in a week and a half, and it be the best song you've ever written yet?
Wow.
So I had a week and a half of frantically throwing stuff together. Anna in Los Angeles recorded her bass parts a few days later. Had Andreas record the drums already, fortunately. So all I had to do was record the guitars. Well, finish writing it and record the guitar parts, and get it mixed and mastered in that week and 5 day, I think it was, time
When
period.
when they said that to you, Mike, was that sort of like filled you with dread, or were you just did you have something in the back burner you're already working on, or you could put forward for that, or was it like
Yeah, both. So I was really like calm and collected. So I was like, yeah, I can do that for you. No. As soon as the call ended, I stood up and I walked out of the room, and I just thought, there's no way I can do something good in that amount of time. So I made a coffee. I came back in. I looked at everything I was already working on that I kind of shelved for later. And I found a song on there that I had posted a clip of on Instagram a while back and said something along the lines of, should I make this into a song? And I had loads of comments on it and I completely forgot about it. So I dug it out and I finished it.
wow, okay.
Fortunately, the drums were already done. So it was just Anna's parts on the bass and my parts on the guitar. And I had an amazing, amazing guy called Tim Johnson who's mixing it and mastered it. He just finished it today.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, do you think that that's like a musician's sort of lifestyle anyway? With the sort of you say yes that you can achieve this, and then you walk out the room and you think, Jesus, what have I just said yes to? Like I actually got to do this now. This is going to be like,
Yeah,
and then sort of
there's a lot of, I want to say yes, it's good to do that. There's a lot of wisdom to doing that because you learn, you grow faster.
yes,
But in the other world that I'm in, the compositional world, you don't really want to be saying yes to everything and then going out to figure out how to do it because some of those jobs that you would be saying yes to require you to have skills that one needs to spend years developing,
hmm
or you would need certain equipment that you just is unaffordable. So yes for some things and definitely no for others. I've had some situations where I've said no to things because I know I couldn't do it. Um, well, I could do it, but not in the time frame they wanted it in because I'd have to learn an entire new art form.
yeah. And talk to us, Mike, about your because I know some of it I think you can mention and some of it you can't mention, which is about the sort of Netflix stuff that you're doing at the moment, some
Oh, yeah.
documentaries and
Um, I think originally when I mentioned this to people,
yeah.
they thought that, oh, Mike's scoring something for Netflix. So I can't say anything about it. I can't correct them, and I can't say anything else because the commercial hasn't come out yet. So it's basically a documentary made by Joe Berlinger, who did the Ted Bundy tapes series on Netflix. He's basically one of the biggest documentary directors in the world. And I think like they regularly hit like 30, 40 million views, his stuff. So they did they've made a documentary that comes out on the 10th of Feb on Netflix worldwide. And I'm in it with my wife Sabina because it's about a case that happened in Los Angeles in 2012, 2013, I think it was, where we were staying in a hotel where a murder had happened.
Wow.
Can't say anything more than that, but it was it was on every news outlet in the world. We were, even to this day, we get contacted pretty much daily by hobbyist investigators in
Wow.
Norway, China, everywhere.
That's crazy.
Yes.
That is mad.
Yeah,
That is,
it's a very interesting story. So the documentary is going to be a 4 part. Each episode's 1 hour long, and yeah, there's some reviews out there now. Some people have got in early to see it, but yeah,
is it out then, Mike? Is it, or is it coming out soon? That to watch that.
so the trailer just came out a few days ago, a week ago or so,
Okay.
but the documentary comes out on the 10th, so this Wednesday.
Oh wow. Okay.
Worldwide.
Wow. I'm definitely gonna be watching that then, Mike.
Yeah, crime scenes. It's called Crime Scenes: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel.
Wow. Okay. No, I'll definitely be watching that, mate. It sounds fascinating. So yeah, it's really cool. Mike, talk to us about your sort of setup you got there. It looks amazing. Like with your you got
So okay,
speakers all around you. It looks like a little surround system.
yeah. So this is where I live and work. Let me just turn this around a bit. Okay, so this is where you are.
Hello.
I do a lot of composing work. So here we have the keyboard. This is the screen for the other computer, which is down there. And yeah, this is where I do a lot of the composing work that I do. Setup wise, guitar wise, a lot of people now know me for the fretless guitar playing that I've done in recent videos. I did a video of Rusanda Panfili, who's one of the most incredible violinists you've ever seen. She's plays with Hans Zimmer and people like that, and we won an award actually for one of the videos we did. But normally I play Music Man guitars.
Yep.
We'll just skip past the Fender. No one likes Fender. Yeah, and amp wise, I have a Cornford, but I use the Mesa Boogie Triple Crown 50, which is my main amp that they kindly sent me. I think last year it was. Yeah, and that's it. I don't use much really, to be honest. Although I have a lot of pedals on the floor, I'm really only using the tube driver, which is this big one here, the ugliest pedal on the board. That's the only one I'm really using, and a Wampler tape echo going straight into the amp with the big sky above it. And
Is that running in a loop there, Mike? That big sky, is that in the back of the Mesa Boogie?
yes, that's going into the effects loop. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like keeping the rest in the front. It just feels good to keep it in the front for me. Um, I like the way that delay feels going in after the drive. Although it depends on the amp, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not super technically, like I'm not super knowledgeable when it comes to this kind of stuff. I tend to plug it in and fiddle around till it sounds good, and that's me. I like keeping it really simple. I know it looks complicated, but most of these pedals are only on this board right now because of various recording things I'm doing. But yeah, I keep it simple normally. And good guitar wise, my main guitar. Let me put this back up here. My main guitar is one that I've been recently given, which is this one. So this is something they made for me, which is, this doesn't exist. This is a one of a kind. It's not cream, although it looks cream. It's actually pink.
I was going to say it looks a bit pinky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pink.
I like it. Very nice.
Your cream guitar, but it's not cream. And yeah, it's very unusual because it's humbucker single single, which is what they used to do, but they don't do anymore. and they made these pickups especially for this. It's got stainless steel frets instead of the regular frets. Plus, they've roasted the neck. It's got some stripes on it.
Wow, nice, very nice.
Yeah, it's really great. We tune to E flat, all my stuff, but it's very simple, straightforward. It's basically it's a 24 fret Strat, or fat Strat, I should say, because of the humbucker. But it's more than that really, because so little things that you wouldn't notice, like for example, a compensated nut, the locking machine heads, things like that. The very particular neck shape, which is it's kind of like it's a D shape going to a C ish. So it's a bit of an odd one, but it's one of my favorite guitars in the world because it's just got the classic tones that I really like, and I've always been chasing after that kind of Timmons kind of vibe.
Yes.
And this kind of gets that, but it can also get the more stratier sounds too.
Very nice, mate. I mean, is that got Music Man pickups in it, or is that the Damasio's? Did they?
These are Music Man pickups.
Yeah.
So they asked me about what I wanted to have in it. So I just kind of said like classic but slightly hot on the bridge. And truthfully, I was expecting to change these out.
Okay.
As soon as they arrived, I thought I'll plug it and play it, go, yeah, it's great, but put in some Seymour Duncans or Damasio's or something like that. And I've been playing with these pickups since I can't fault them. In fact, they're probably my favorite pickups, which is because you can't get them because it's just made for this. And I don't even know if they can make them again. I hope they kept some sort of record of them because I would want them in everything now.
Mate, it looks lovely, and how nice is it to have? It must be amazing to have like a guitar made by Music Man for yourself. That must feel really good.
Yeah, well, this is one of two that they've made for me. I have a custom Luke that they made as well, which is I think you might have seen that one before with the flame quilted maple top with the maple fingerboard.
Yes, is that like is it bluey or greeny color?
I'll show you. It's kind of both. It's called Neptune Blue, which
yeah, I think I've seen it.
It's a limited edition one.
Yeah.
But
if anyone has any questions for Mike as well, feel free to fire away. I do need to check in on the comments. Alex Rose says hello. Is that somebody you know, or maybe
Alex
Rose? Is it?
Oh yeah, I know Alex. He's a very, 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 very good composer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions for Mike, feel free to ask away, and I will keep an eye on the stream on the comments there.
It's a great. His work has been shared by Hans Zimmer.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And he's like 17, 18 years old, I think. So he's
is that your favorite composer, Mike? Just before we move on, look at the guitar. Is that Hans Zimmer? Is that? That's a hard question, isn't it?
It's an easy question that requires a not simple answer. So I guess if I had to pick one at gunpoint, it would be Ennio Morricone, because without him, we wouldn't have Hans Zimmer. We wouldn't have. Well, we would probably, but not in the same way. He's just influenced music in such a large way, but also like Jeff Wayne, like Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds. I love that, the original, Hans Zimmer's obviously up there. He's probably my favorite of the modern guys. Justin Hurwitz. I could go on all day. There's too many.
I mean, do you spend a lot of your time, Mike? I'm interested myself. Like when you're composing, are you spending a lot of the time with the guitar in hand, or are you doing lots of stuff in like Logic? Yeah. I'm guessing do you use Logic? Is that what you're using to compose? Or?
Yeah, that's right. So it's no secret I'm not a piano player or keyboard player. I am terrible. So I quite literally learned to play it. I'm doing this because it's in front of me. To control virtual instruments, things like Spitfire libraries and things like that. But I would never consider myself a piano player of any sort. But yeah, I basically use Logic, which is the same as what I use for recording my guitar solo records. But with the composing stuff, it's a totally different mindset. So I don't always write with a guitar. I sometimes write with I have ukuleles, have mandolins. We have a baby grand piano underneath of us. And sometimes I like to pick up something different that I can't play. So that forces me to think melodically and to write something that is interesting, rather than if I pick up a guitar, I know what I'm going to do because I'm going to do what I always do because it's my instrument. It's like I can already talk with the guitar. I can say what I want to say with it. On a piano or keyboard, I can't. So I have to be very selective with the notes that I play, and I need it, and I need to basically write to a brief when I'm
Yes.
playing, for doing compositional work. So the guitar can be a great tool, but it can be a big problem because as soon as I pick up a guitar, the brief goes out the window and I'm doing what feels good as opposed to what sounds good. I mean, it might sound good, but it doesn't sound good in the context of the brief that I need to work with.
How long is the just out of interest, Mike? How long is like the brief when you get given the brief? How long is like the sort of time scale between you getting given the brief and you like completing the the final track or the track ready for them? I'm imagining you send them a couple like the version and then they say, oh, we like this, we like that. Can you change this? Can you change that? Is
Yeah,
that what? How long is that time scale? Are we talking weeks? Are we talking a few months?
it depends. So
Okay,
I've had a brief come in where they needed it 12 hours later. I'd had I recently worked with a fantastic composer called Johnny Yates, doing the music. We were doing the music for the Lidl commercial, and that was a few days. I've been doing a documentary that was supposed to be out 2 months ago, but because of COVID, the interviews couldn't be done in person, so it's put it back a little bit. Plus, the director caught the virus, which didn't help.
wow.
So that one would have been about 3 months from the beginning of the brief. That seems like a long time,
Mm,
but it's a 4 hour documentary.
right.
So
Yes.
3 months is, I mean, okay, it's quite a good amount of time to work within if you're not doing anything else. And I'm doing all the guitar, being a solo artist thing as well.
Yeah.
But that's been prolonged because of COVID. I think we've had like 5 months on it now.
Okay.
We just
I mean,
finished.
that's fantastic, man. I mean, what? Tell us what a day in the life of Michael Baugh. What does a day in the life of Michael Baugh look like?
Oh,
What does it look like? What time do you get up? What time do you sort of what time do you get into your studio? How does that look like, mate?
I get asked this a lot because I think it seems to some people that I do a lot in a day, and sometimes I do. But before I go into my routine, it might sound like I'm doing a lot in a day, but if you think I am, you need to look up Tina Guell.
Okay.
Look at what she does in a day. The cellist for Hans Zimmer, and she plays in all the big movies, Wonder Woman 1984, and all of that lot. She's amazing at what she can get done in a day. In a week, she does what I do in a month, maybe even more. But my typical day is, so I'll get up around 8 o'clock, um, because I work from home. I don't need to go anywhere.
No.
Get out, shower, coffee machine, usually empty the dishwasher like everybody else. Come up here, and the first thing I do then is with the coffee is to get back to emails and text. Which, if I receive a text or an email today, it will get replied to generally 3 days later because I'm always on catch up with that, and I like to
Okay.
reply to everybody. Um, and then I typically open a project and I get to work on something. Even if I'm not awake yet, I just work because there's this great quote that the Marvel composer Guy Mitchell said, "Writing bad music is better than not writing music." So sometimes you just need to start something, and after you've written 3-4 minutes of rubbish, maybe 30 seconds is something you can use. So
Okay.
try to keep doing it so that it sets me up for later on in the day when I come back to it after maybe teaching a few guitar lessons or something. I can come back and I've got something then that I can extract from that and work with because I'm not a morning person, but I want to take advantage of the morning.
Yes.
And then I teach a lot. I have apparently the largest student base in Devon, um, and yeah, I do a lot of online lessons. I have students in America, Norway, Ukraine, Germany, all over the place.
Wow. Okay.
But it's a weird situation when teaching those kind of lessons because you're not teaching from the perspective of being a guitar teacher helping someone to better their skills. You're teaching somebody who wants to learn your stuff,
Okay.
which is so much harder because everybody assumes that artists can play their songs. They could when they wrote it and when they were original. And then as soon as they've written something else, they've forgotten most of what they've done previously. So I get these students that are like, oh, I want to learn the guitar solo in Mountains Are Universal. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that song. Like I'm thinking about it like it's a Guns N' Roses song or something that I've learned 5 years ago.
Yes.
So I'm going back, like frantically learning my own stuff again, which is so much harder than you think it is because
Oh
you're in
yeah.
a mindset, you know?
Are you constantly? I bet you constantly change it as well. Every time you play a piece of your own music, you're probably constantly changing little parts of it and little phrases and putting a
Yeah,
few extra notes and taking a few notes in and out. I'm sure that's what you do when you sort of play your music. I'm
all the
sure.
time, all the time.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is when I play along with my own tracks with the non-backing track versions, something will happen different when I'm playing compared to the track, and I'm like, he's doing it wrong. I'm like, it's me. It's me. That's what I did originally, and it's just a funny thing. You just laugh at yourself, and um, but I find myself always preferring what I do now, and now I don't want to hear what I did before because if I did it again, I'll do it totally different. But I guess you have to move on.
Yeah, I mean that's great. So you get up about 8. You said you try and get stuck into your music as quick as you can. You do your sort of emails and stuff first, and your texts and that, and then does that take you to lunchtime? What does that take you to lunch? And then
About to around. I don't eat breakfast. Coffee is all I need. I get hungry around 11 or 12, so I eat then, and then I'm back on it again. So it depends on what's going on that day. See, this is the thing when you're doing composing, solo artist, international teaching combined. There's no 2 days the same. But if I get a big project coming, I have to clear out a week. So I could have a week of like 8 a.m. until no, not 8 a.m. 9 a.m. until around 7, 8 p.m. straight composing.
wow.
Um, so I'm sat here just focused nonstop.
Do you ever get fried though, Mike? Do you have to like walk out and just take a break and sort of go, right, I can't do any more now. I feel like I'm struggling to.
Pre-COVID, I used to be able to go outside and like
Yeah,
go and see beautiful sights and get inspired. Now you just go on Google Earth,
yeah.
type in Bali. So I tend to. Sabina's really good for this. She likes to get me out, and we're very fortunate. We have a woods behind our house, so we just go for a walk in the woods, and it just clears your mind. You come back, you realize, yeah, Guy Mitchell's right. I have written a lot of bad music, but there is something in there I can work with, and you need to step away to come back to realize
Yes.
that if you just keep kind of banging your head against the wall with it, you will end up finishing it and hating it, and then you send it to the director and he will hate it, but he will tell you it's good, and then you get this gigantic list. So you don't want that.
No.
You want to send something you're proud of, and yeah, getting away from it is so important. And sometimes I find that we have parrots, so I'll go down and play with the birds for a little bit, and then come back up with a fresh mind, fresh perspective, ready to expand and or sometimes delete it and start again. Depends. It's a very organic thing, and you can never be rigid in your thought process. You have to be open to the idea that you got it completely wrong, and also open to the idea that what you did is bad, but perhaps you could salvage something from it.
Do you ever get nervous, Mike, when you get there and you get to that final piece and you sort of put it towards them and you sort of when you hit go, hit send? Is there sort of do you get sort of anxious or nervous about oh, is it going to be good enough? What are they going to say? Are they going to come back with loads of stuff? Or do you ever get that, or do you feel like you stick really close to the brief that you feel like you're quite on the what they wanted, what they've requested?
Do you know, I used to, um, but I think the more you do this, or the busier you get, the less time you have to think about it.
Okay.
So it's. I remember when I very first started teaching, I would get nervous before I'd see the student. Now I can't even comprehend why. It's like, there's no reason to be nervous. And now I'm noticing, oh, they're the ones that are nervous.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like that when you're working with a director. They're nervous more than you are because if if you do a bad job, they're in a difficult situation. If they don't think you can do it and they're running out of time, they have to replace you. It's not. I feel for them more really than worrying about myself doing a good job. And I think the other thing is I've gotten one director I work with a lot. I know him really well, and sometimes I know what he loves, I know what he hates, and there's a certain sound he hates that I kept using a Spitfire library called I think it's called Hannah's Music Box. It fit perfectly for the feel of the documentary we were doing together. But every time I used it, he would always say, "Oh, can we swap it out for like a piano or something, anything but that?" And I would keep using it, And in the end, I was doing it for, I had piano there already, but I muted the piano and put Hannah's music box there just to annoy him a little bit. It became a little bit of a banter thing. I don't know if he knows that, but we would laugh about. I laugh about it. So I will send him 2 copies of it. Here's the Hannah's music box version, and here's the piano version. So I think sometimes composers do get nervous, but it's because perhaps who they're working with.
Okay.
And some jobs are very high pressure. So if you're in LA and you're working with some certain directors that are control freaks, yeah, you're going to be nervous because you want to at least get 80% there with your work before they start giving you their list of changes, because otherwise you're going to have a very short period of time to get it all together. But no, I just try to enjoy it because we're very unusual people. Like, we get to do what we love every day.
Yeah.
And then we go through this period of time, I think we all do, where we do get nervous and we take away that joy that we get from it because we're so worried. Like, what if I do a bad job, or what if I don't know, do something wrong? And then that instantly puts you in the same category as everyone else in the world that are doing jobs that they hate.
Yes.
Just your job looks cool, but you're now punishing yourself through the whole process. So I think a lot of it comes down to, a big thing that helps you to not put yourself in a situation where you're going to keep getting nervous is to be disciplined, self-disciplined, making sure that you do what you say you're going to do when you said you're going to do it.
Yes.
Find out what the deadlines are, and then set different deadlines for yourself so that you get things done before, so that you can make any changes with plenty of time. Of course, depends on how quick they need it by. If they need it in 12 hours, you can't tell yourself, I'll do it in 3. You will need those 12 hours.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm just gonna check up on some of the questions, Mike, because I've been missing them as they go past. But there are a few questions. I'm just gonna put a few to you in a minute. William Braddon, is it Braddon? I think William Braddon says, favorite coffee brand, Mike.
Favorite what?
Coffee brand.
Coffee brand. Oh, easy. Okay. It pains me to say this. I had coffee from all over the world. I have a proper coffee machine, like, every sane person should have a proper, with a bean grinder and everything, real coffee. I've had coffee from Italy, which was amazing. I've had, all the obvious ones, Costa and that. But the best one is Starbucks.
Wow, okay.
And the best one they make is Pike Place, the green one.
Nice. Very nice.
It's just the best.
There we go then. So Starbucks favorite coffee brand. Excellent. David says, hi, Michael. I've put in the practice this month. I'm ready for my lesson on Friday. Yes, this is David Waterfield.
I know David. Hi, David.
He said, P.S. I hope their new song is from the piece you showed me a little while back. If so, it will be epic.
Oh, good.
So that's
he's actually a really fast learner, Dave. He learns stuff like mega fast.
Wow, I said he obviously he's mentioned himself, but he obviously puts in the work, puts in the practice for you.
Yeah, he's just got a really bad taste in guitars, though. He's got a Gibson Les Paul,
Joy's going to love you for that.
He's being himself. He does have a Music Man Luke as well, so.
We got another question from Alex. This is from Alex Rose again. What was your hardest challenge on making an improv to an orchestral piece without knowing any chord progression to that piece? So it says, what was your hardest challenge on making an so improvisation, to an orchestral piece without knowing any of the chord progression to that piece?
Oh, well, that's a
tricky,
difficult question. So improvise. Oh, in terms of composing. So you're improvising as you compose. I'm assuming he means.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go with that. Yeah, I'm going to go with that, I think.
Yeah, okay. Without knowing chord progressions. Is this Alex?
Alex Rose. Yeah, Alex Rose.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very composer question. I don't know the answer to that. So you just try it. It's trial and error. The creative process is like, okay, you don't know chord progression. You don't know the theory that you feel you should know that you don't know to help you. If you don't yet know it, you can still write music because you follow what your ear wants to hear. Now, there's the 2 ways I take. Sometimes I'll just play with both hands badly because I'm not a piano player.
Mm-hmm.
to just play around with what feels good and sounds good. But for me, I think the best way when you're doing, if you're writing from the perspective of not having a theory knowledge, is to write individually, each instrument at a time. Start with what you like. Start with a viola, and then imagine the harmonies you want to hear. I think the most important thing is asking yourself, what do you want? What is the intention of what you're doing? So if it's scoring to picture, the picture telling you what the intention is, and then you interpret that based on the brief or whatever you got to follow. But ultimately, it's got to sound good to you, because no one wants to fulfill a brief and then submit work that they don't actually love. So you have to find this middle ground. Now, if you're improvising, great, because you have to go deep and think, well, what do I want? What do I love? And if you don't know, you're going to have to just go out and listen to lots of music. John Williams is a great place to start. No one's ever going to write quite that good music just by listening to it, but it will inspire you and give you ideas of things that will that you could maybe take and use.
Is that a big part of your like how you've like learnt composition, Mike? Is it listening to your favorite composers and just like taking things from what you like from them just to add to your own sort of arsenal of stuff that you do?
I mean, that's how I work with guitar. So if I'm writing music, I find that the people I listen to come through my playing,
Hmm.
because that's what I think sounds good, and I hope I do it with my own little twist. So I think I take that same approach over to the compositional world. I mean, I understand like music theory. I don't often use it. I tend to use music theory to get myself out of trouble.
Okay.
I can't hear what the next part could be. I look at what the options are,
Okay. Yeah.
and that's where the theory comes in. But 9 times out of 10, the theory that I'm using to get myself out of a bad place will give me like a middle of the road out. A middle of the road out of that situation. Usually the best thing to do would be to stop and go do something else and come back,
Yes.
and then follow your internal ear. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And we've got another question here. So from Darren Winter, he said, "Has lockdown had a positive effect on you, on your creativity, or has it been an inspiration?" So has lockdown been good for you, or
We were talking about this before we went.
yeah,
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes, in that it's forced me to be creative because I've had a lot of big things happen, and I needed this lockdown. I needed to be locked down in this room for a long time to get it all done. So it's helped me to basically become a little hermit composer guy in the studio and get things done. But in other ways, it hasn't, because we now explored every possible walk you can do within a certain radius of where we live. If someone kicks over a pebble 12 floors, I will know because I've seen it. I've walked past it every day.
yeah,
So I need somewhere new to go. And I find like going different places does inspire me. We like to go to Cornwall a lot because the Tamar Bridge is just here. And when we go to Cornwall and you see nature, it does inspire you. I tend to come home right away and write something every time. And it's always a great idea that normally if I was just sat here after getting up in the morning and making my coffee and coming here, I wouldn't get a result like that. You need to, my guitar teacher once said to me, if you want to make good music, you need to have a good story to tell. You need to have lived life a bit, had experiences.
hmm,
If you're writing a sad song, you can't really write a sad song unless you felt pain. You have to be relatable, and it has to be authentic. And so when you go outside and you see nature and you're inspired by it, by like the amazing trees that are around us and the sound of birds, and you come home, how could you not be inspired? What more inspiring thing is there? So at the moment, my inspiration is books, because there's not a lot else I can do. I don't get time to watch a lot of television. So I just read a lot. Science fiction stuff I love. Um, Psychology, physics. I love reading about this kind of stuff.
And do you draw all your artwork, Mike? That's another thing I was going to ask you as well. Like on your posters and stuff. Do you draw all that yourself, or?
I wish you'd like this.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if you like were an artist as well, like did sort of art and things. Yeah, and I didn't know if you draw things like that, or
The guy who designed this. So this is the vinyl. Um,
how cool is that?
and on the inside, there you are. It's
Wow.
this was designed by Mark Rakoff, who is an amazing artist from Canada. He designed. How did I meet Mark? I met Mark through Nick Johnston.
Oh yes, okay.
Nick's artwork. And Mark is amazing. He builds dinosaurs and hand paints them. I think he worked in Jurassic Park and a few other things. He builds and paints dinosaurs in museums in various places in North America and Canada. So I got Mike to do my first album, which is this one, and the second album. So I just tell him what the album name's going to be, and then I leave the rest to him, and he comes up with this incredible stuff. Yeah, he's a great artist. Go and follow him. He's on Facebook and he's got a store on Etsy. Mark Rakop, Rehkopf.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing artwork. I mean, what made you go vinyl then, Mike? Is it sort of?
Good question. Because I play records, I have a record player. They do sound better. They are more. I'll tell you what. This is the best way of putting it. We drink instant coffee, right?
Yes.
If you had a coffee machine, a real one with a bean grinder, you're not going to use the instant coffee. You're just not. You're going to go to that coffee machine. You're going to grind the beans. You're going to get that smell. You're going to press it into the little cup thing, whatever it's called.
Yes.
Very technical terms here. And then you make your coffee. And when you play a record, it's the same thing. You could have Spotify. I do. I use it for stuff all the time, but not when I'm listening to music. I have it on in the background, but when I'm sitting down with a coffee or a glass of whiskey and I'm listening to music, I'm going to put on a vinyl. It's just a better sound. And
I completely agree with you, mate. I was just interested to see like what made you sort of go with the vinyl, whether there was a demand for it in terms of your like fans buying them and things.
And I've always wanted to make my own. And
oh wow,
it's just something great about having your own vinyl. I don't know what it's like. When I did my first record and I had the CDs arrive, it was really exciting because it's my first CD. When your first album goes on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever, you don't really care. It doesn't do anything for you. It's like, oh great, there it is for free, in low quality. But when this arrived, it was the greatest gift to oneself ever.
Yeah.
To hold it, like the satin finish. I don't know, it's just a different experience. In fact, a few people have said that they have both the CD and the vinyl, and they said the difference in the mix and the mastering is astounding. I mean, it's a different track listing order as well, because different experience. When you listen to a vinyl, you don't start with the rock track first. You work into it, right? Because you're relaxed, you put a vinyl on. In the car, when you put a CD on, you want to kick off with a song like Clocks of the Miles of Time with like the rock riff at the beginning. Because again, it's a different experience. We use music differently. So a vinyl is utilized in a way where you would relax more. So it's mixed differently in that way too. So the panning is a little bit more extreme. It's mixed very much like Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds.
Okay. Did you think about that, Mike, as well, when you did that? Did you think I'm going to put the tracks in different orders and stuff from the CD to the vinyl? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I sat down with a few friends of mine and we talked about this for hours. Like, what would the track listing be? It's only 8 tracks, but you can talk about that for a long time. And we came up with 4 different ways of doing it. And the best 2 ways we all agreed upon were the way that ended up on the CD and the way that ended up on the vinyl. I think Spotify's the same as the CD.
That's really cool, though, mate. Like you actually went that far into it and really thought about, how you wanted it to come out. Because most people have probably got it on vinyl, but just gone the same order with the CD. But you've really thought about how people are going to listen and enjoy your music, and change the order for one and the other. That's really really cool. Mike, are you set up to do any guitar playing for us, or?
But actually, yeah,
because that'll be fantastic. I'm sure people want to see that.
Actually, I was going to. So I told you before about the single.
Yes.
That we've been working on, and so Tim sent me a master today, which is the master for Spotify, because for every service we master it differently.
Okay.
So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit and maybe show you a bit of it. It's a different way of writing for me. I initially started off with this idea where I had a basic chord progression like this. And I really like the sound of that, just using what I call melodic triads, where you have your root fifth and major or minor third, depending on the chord.
Okay.
And I kind of came up with this rhythm. And the melody was really simple. It was like a it was like one string you could play it on.
Yeah.
And although it sounded good, it didn't feel good playing the chords and then playing the melody on top of it. So I decided to do what Andy Timmons does, which is try playing both parts at the same time. So I thought, okay, I got these chords. So what about if I play the root notes and then play the melody at the same time? And yeah, so I made this demo, I recorded it, sent it out for drums, and the other part of it was kind of like a kind of a vibe, which I put on Instagram. That was the original idea, which kind of became the chorus, I guess, or the bridge section. And I got it out to Andreas, who recorded the drums in a day. I then sent it to Anna, who recorded the bass in a day, and we ended up with the final track. It's basically a really simple idea, but I'm trying to work. I guess since doing the composing stuff, my thought process have been make it as simple as possible, but not so that it's unentertaining, just so that you can put more energy into individual notes and enjoy playing it more. Because in my first record, where I had all this extremely complex playing, it's good and fun to do it, but it's hard work, and sometimes it's hard to put the feel into it that it deserves because you're so focused on the technique. I mean, playing fast is an emotion in itself,
Yes.
right? That's your anger and tension. But I wanted to try a different approach and play more loosely, and that's basically what we did. So this song is got a working title. Got to figure out a name for it tonight and tomorrow before I send it to the label. It's called I Remember at the moment. All I need to remember at the moment is to give it a better name. But I can play it for you guys if you want to hear it.
Yeah, mate, that'd be great. Do you have a pool of musicians, Mike, that you use like on all your tracks, or do you use different people for different jobs? Or
Yeah, so I work with a lot of really high-end musicians. Somehow, I don't know how that happened. So for this record, I'm using for this single, I'm using Anna Santina, who is an incredible bass player from Los Angeles, and she's really big on YouTube. Her videos hit millions of views all the time. Andreas on drums from Norway. He's the drummer on my second record, and I think he did one or two tracks on the first record too. And then the mixing and mastering, Tim Johnson. At cinematic mixing. He mixes like Netflix stuff and movies and all sorts. He's amazing.
wow.
And that's it. On the second record, it was Saya Gray on bass, Andreas again on drums. I had Tina Guell playing cello, and this amazing quartet in Greece called Fortissimo. But the next record that I'm working on, one's kind of single at a time, is going to be, I think, the same musicians that I'm using on this track now. I'm going to pretty much keep it that way because they just work really well together. What you'll notice with the drums and bass, it fits super tight. It doesn't sound like the drums was recorded in Norway and a bass in LA.
Okay.
It sounds like they're in the same room. And to get that and be worlds apart, you know, it's amazing. Kind of
these people you've met remotely, Mike, or is this people that you know of, or you just met them online, or how did you?
So Andreas, I found him on YouTube. He did a couple of videos of Dirty Loops covers, and I thought they were better than the original. And I thought I had to get this guy on some stuff. And then Anna Santina, so I've been following her on YouTube for a long time because she does covers of like really big well-known songs and get millions of views. So she's like, whenever you open YouTube, one of her videos pretty much always pops up. So I wrote to her once, I think on Instagram, and I said it'd be great to record together. And I thought, she got such a big following, there's no way she's going to see the message and write back. And within a day, she had opened the demo, listened to it, and went, "Yep, let's do this." And we did. I think that was the Green Hornet that we did with Rusander Pamphili, who's Hans Zimmer's violinist, and that's when we won the Best Video Award for.
Wow,
So I
that's
sent
fantastic.
her this track and said, "How about we do it again?" And within a couple of days, we were done.
Wow, she obviously works very quickly.
Yes, yeah, and I did. Yeah, it was a difficult song to get right as well because um, there wasn't a, how can I describe it, a sonic branding yet. In my head, it was just going to be drums, bass, and one guitar, and it ended up being different, totally different, more textures than I anticipated. Synthesizers, rhythm guitar, uh, quite a lot. So what I described to Anna and Andreas originally was completely different from the end result. But that just goes to show the person, the production side of it, the person doing your mixing and mastering. They are a musician in their own right because they'll say to you, "This is great. What we need though, we need to widen the stereo field. We could do with some down-tuned rhythm guitars. Record 4 left and 4 right." I'm like, "Okay, let's do this." And so I wrote the rhythm parts and sent them over to him, and then he would send me a track back that sounded totally different from what I had envisioned in my head, but this new direction just felt so much better. And it just goes to show the value of working with people and not just locking yourself in a room, writing a record, and then forcing the bass player to do it this way and forcing the drummer to do it that way. And
Yes.
it's good to have control, especially as a composer. You want to make sure the musicians are doing what you need them to do. But you have to figure out what is the room of what measure of freedom can I give them so that there's room for innovation and room for them to go, "Hey, how about this? Did you think of doing it this way?" And then that makes everything better.
Yeah, I mean you obviously give your musicians that you work with a lot of freedom to do that, and I'm sure that adds to the final product, as you're saying there. That's fantastic. Well, I think we should hear this, Mike. If anyone has any sort of final questions to put towards Mike, feel free to ask them now while we have a little listen to Mike's. So this is new single. It's not out yet, no?
Nobody's heard it yet, other than
Wow. Okay.
um, a handful of people have heard this. So this is the first time it's being played publicly.
Fantastic.
Hope Tim doesn't mind. Okay, here we go.
That is amazing, mate. That's fantastic, and thank you so much, mate, for sharing that with us as well. That's, no one's said, not many people have heard that, so everyone's very, very lucky tonight to be listening to that. That sounds fantastic, mate. That is really great. When is that looking to be released? Do you reckon? How long do you reckon until people can get their hands on that?
It could be as soon as tomorrow or the day after.
Wow. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for that. Is that going to be out on? Are you going to do that? Just is it going to be on a sort of vinyl? Are you going to be doing that eventually? Is that
At the moment, I don't know. I'm just going to work on releasing singles, which will be digitally distributed on Spotify, Apple Music, and all of the rest of them. Uh,
okay?
I do want to do another physical thing because I'd like to listen to it myself on a record player. Uh,
Yes.
I'll make it for myself, and if anyone else wants to buy it, then that's great. That would be amazing. In which case, I should do a bit of shameless self.
Yeah. Feel free, mate.
I do have some of these left available on the website. There's only I think 250 of these made. Plus have CDs and vinyls and all sorts of musical related things.
Yeah, and to find that, it's just michaelbaugh.com, is it? Or
Michael Baugh, yeah, Michael Baugh, MichaelBaugh.co.uk.
that's good. UK. Brilliant. You could definitely tell that sort of, as you said, the Andy Timmons influence in there. You can see, that's,
Yeah, he's somewhat of a mentor of mine, and he's given me lots of advice over the years. And I've got to work with him a couple of times, and yeah, he's even to this day he's sent me emails and comments and stuff on YouTube, and yeah, he's given me a lot of help and advice over the years, and actually because of a lot of advice he's given me, it's basically transformed the way I think about music a lot. Because I used to be one of these, you know, sweet picking shredder guys. Nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't fulfilling for me, and I wanted to just write music and write music that non-guitar players would want to listen to as well.
yes,
Um, because that's the thing about rock music, right? It's like people who like rock music can be anybody. They don't have to be guitar players. So when like you listen to people like Joe Satriani or Andy Timmons, you don't always see that their audience is just guitar players.
no,
But there are a lot of solo guitar players where the audience is just guitar players, or mostly. And I just realized in recent times after speaking to Andy that that's not what I want to be. I want to be somebody who makes music.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, there's a lot of people that I teach, their parents and like mums and dads that don't play guitar and instruments, love people like Yngwie Malmsteen or like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, and you're like, oh wow, okay, I thought that's just guitarists that like that, but no, apparently not. As you're saying.
Yeah,
I mean, and I've never met Andy, but he just seems like such a genuine chap. He seems like such a lovely guy. Um,
he is one of the greatest musicians I have ever worked with ever, and he has so much experience. And he taught me about this. I basically interviewed him on my Instagram page a while back, and I wanted to get into his mind a bit more about how he plays, like what is going on in his head when he's playing. And he said he oralates. So that's the process, oralating. So I said, well, tell us about that. What is it? So he said, like, well, I'm playing over something, right? So he said, I have a point of reference. Does anything I listened to in the past have the same harmonic structure? And like, if it's a Monkees song or a Beatles song, what happens on top of it that I love? And then do something like that and learn how to speak what you love through your fingers. And he said, and other times it's just a case of like talking, like, well, what do I want to hear? And then
yes,
so you're not learning licks. You're teaching. It's intervallic, really, right? You're thinking about the intervals, and you're thinking about where you want to end. So you're thinking about intervals and resolution.
hmm
And then when you've absorbed that, you're now just thinking about what you want to hear. And it's like you learn the theory to the point where you know it so well, you've internalized it, so that now you're just talking, like
yes,
language, right?
yeah. I mean, Andy's just like, it's not just as a as a person and a player. It's just his tone as well. Like, it's not just there's the whole rounded thing, isn't it? I mean, his tone's fantastic. Um, because he uses the Ibanez, doesn't he? He sort of rolls the what you saying there, Mike? Sorry.
I'm a self-confessed Andy Timmons fanboy. In fact, I would challenge anybody that to be a fan of Andy Timmons to be in second place to myself, uh, because yeah, I nerd out on his stuff, every detail so much. So even the Tube Driver pedal I'm using right now is what he uses.
Yeah.
I'm forever fiddling around with it to get it to sound like that tone he's got on Ghost of You.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That tone.
I watched him. I think it was at Absolute Music. I think it was. He did like a masterclass tonight. absolutely blown away. And we were sat like on the front row, and it was so loud, but it was good in a good way. It was really good. He had this like Mesa Boogie rig that he uses, and it was just absolutely fantastic and just inspiring. He was just talking to us, and people asking questions and stuff, and it was just absolutely fascinating. Just listen to his stories and like how he, as you're saying there, like how he thinks about approaches to music and that, and how he plays. Absolutely fantastic. But
And you
yeah,
know what I love about him? If he play into an audience of 20, he will play the same way.
yeah.
For him, it's he just wants to give, and he's just so into music as well. He's just the authenticity behind every note. It's just amazing, and he never plays the same thing. He never plays it the same way twice. You think he does when he plays live? You think, oh, it's note perfect to the record.
Yeah.
It isn't. I think he tries to do that sometimes, but I don't know. It never is the same. It's always different in really interesting ways.
I mean,
Um,
he's one of those guys like he's in the moment all the time, isn't he? So I'm sure that what, as you said, like what he's hearing in the moment, he's playing that. He's at that level where he can, he's doing that. Um, you know,
you know the kind of guy he is. So once he was playing a show, and I said to him the day before that I would love it if you could play Ghost of You, and he said, "Oh, I haven't played that song in years or like a long time. I can't remember it." Well, anyway, that night in his hotel room, I didn't know this until the next day, is he spent like ages relearning that track from Spotify. And then the next day at the show, he's like, "All right, this one's for Mike. I relearned this one for you last night," and he performed it better than I've ever heard it.
wow,
And I wish I recorded it. It was the best version of that song ever.
that's such a nice thing to do, though, isn't it? Such a cool thing to do. To do that, to play that for you is really, really cool. Um, Absolutely amazing. Look, mate, I'm gonna let you go soon because I've taken a lot of your time, but I'm just gonna check there's no further questions just before we shoot off. Make sure I've not missed anything. Um,
Oh, a little shout out, by the way, to SC Microphones, who very kindly provided this so that you could hear me with a lovely low voice.
I was going to ask you, Mike. That is one hell of a microphone.
The best mic I've ever had. They sent me two. This one is the R1N1 or R1N1, I think it is. And yeah, I use this for acoustic guitar, mandolin, ukulele, all of the different acoustic instruments I use. But I've also tried miking up the Mesa Boogie with this. It is the best microphone I've ever heard. I've sold all of my other mics. There's just
Wow.
no need anything else. Although I have kept the SC 2300, which was better for the voice.
Yes.
Um, yeah, highly recommend it. They aren't cheap, but they are. If you're going to record with a microphone, you want to be heard in the best possible way. It captures the high frequencies really nicely. That's often kind of not missed but veiled.
hmm it looks great, mate. It looks like a fantastic mic, and it sounds good as well. I got someone says Rich Osborne. I don't know if you know Rich Osborne. He said hello from St. Ives. Hope to see some WCM events in the future.
Oh, world class music, yes. Well, post COVID, we'll see.
Okay. It's I think I've seen that before. That's they do like sort of you've done that before, haven't you? They do like events and things. And did they have was it Guthrie they did once? Or I think I seen it. Was it Guthrie or was it?
Yeah, we've done everything. We've had Kiko Loyero, Guthrie Govan, Alex Hutchins, Jennifer Batten, Uli John Roth, Paul Gilbert, Andy Timmons 3, 4 times. Nick Johnson. I think we had Nick Johnston here before he'd played outside of Canada as a solo artist. Yeah, this was the first place I think he played outside of Canada as a solo artist anyway. And we've had him twice. We made a band and played live together here in Plymouth. And we've had pretty much everybody, to be honest. Rick Graham, Tom Quayle. Rick Graham is a very special human being. He is not just an amazing guitar player, like beyond human ability, but he's also one of the funniest, nicest people. And yeah, basically what we do, I put me and another friend of mine called Ian. We put on these shows for our students, basically in the city.
Okay.
It's handy to have lots of famous friends like this that you can call on to do these kind of shows. Um, and yeah, because you don't get to see these guys in the southwest. You're in Bristol, right?
Yeah, I'm in Bristol. Yes. Yeah.
All the good shows end, and then
Yeah.
the southwest of England is like, all right, we don't exist. So Ian and myself were like, so let's put this city, Plymouth, on the map. So we brought all of these amazing world-class musicians here, and they played one show here, and then they were off somewhere else in Europe. No other shows in the UK. So we ended up having people from Scotland coming down to see the shows we put on.
Where do you hold that then, Mike? You said in Plymouth, but whereabouts is that? Is that
So we've used a bunch of different venues over the years. We've gone from hotels to these special design auditoriums that one school has in the city. We had actually a new venue that's purpose built for this, but as we kind of built a relationship with them, COVID happened, and then that's it. So we have to kind of put it on hold for a bit, which worked out good because I had so many recording jobs to do. I needed to put it on hold.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate your time this evening to come in and talk to us about, everything and just your single's going to be out very soon, so over the next few days, so people can get hold of that. As you said, you've still got stuff on your website as well that they can get hold of. You've got a few vinyls left. Any posters left? Have you got any posters left? The ones behind you?
Um, Behind me, I have 2 or 3 A1 art prints left.
Okay.
A1 is quite big. I also have about 15 or 20 art prints of this, which is a different shape from this because obviously it's more like that.
Okay.
We also have t-shirts and sweaters and caps that have just come in recently. But I don't think they're on the website yet. But if anyone is interested, do drop me a message and I can send pictures and you can order it before it goes on the website.
Do you manage that yourself, Mike? Just a quick question before we go. Do you manage your website and stuff yourself, or?
At the moment, I do. Yeah. So
Yeah.
with Three Tone is that they deal with the distribution, the digital distribution, but I still take care of the physical stuff. The main reason is because people buy something, they want me to sign it, and it's very difficult if that's been assigned to a company because then they're going to have to send it to me. It's just
Yeah.
it's not viable. And I kind of like the process. That's why I have to check my email every morning to find out where I'm mailing stuff off to today. And it's mostly Germany.
Oh wow. Okay.
They buy the most music. Well, they buy my music, but it seems to me they seem to buy the most music. They have this really great appreciation for physical things like vinyls and CDs.
Fantastic. Very, very good. As I said, Mike, thank you very much. I really appreciate you. And I'm sure everyone else watching as well, appreciate you coming in this evening for this. If anyone has any questions for Mike after the stream, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'm sure you'll see them, Mike, and I'm sure you'll get back to people as well and just, and answer those questions. But thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate you coming this evening. Best of luck. Best of luck with the documentary that's coming out very, very soon, is it you said?
Yeah. So the trailer I'm scoring within the next few days, I think.
Okay.
And then the documentary should be out worldwide on YouTube, so everyone can see it between now and the next month and a half, depending on COVID-related stuff.
Okay. Brilliant. Oh, well, thank you very much, Mike. And look, take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers, Mike.